Hey folks, welcome to my bunker. So today we're going to be talking about buying a new motorcycle. And your first new motorcycle specifically. I'm kind of going to talk about how I came to buy the SV650 because a lot of you are probably like looking at this like, why does this old man riding an SV650? That's a track bike. So I'll kind of go through the process very quickly here before we get into the riding videos. And we got a lot of cool scenery. It was a great day for riding, and I rode out to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is a cool steel town up near the mountains in Pennsylvania, and the scenery is pretty spectacular. And the best part is it kind of encompasses every type of riding condition that you're going to run into. So hopefully it'll give you some ideas about what you want. So when you're buying a new bike, do you want to consider where do you ride? Are you long distance, local, daily commute, speed and fun? Does the bike fit? If you're 6'3" and 250 pounds, you're not going to buy the same bike as somebody who's 5'3" and 150 pounds. Is the bike too big? Is it too small? The number one question for new riders, I think, is will I outgrow the bike? So you want to get a bike, that you're going to grow into but not grow out of. Let's get into it. So I bought this bike, the Suzuki SV650. It's 645 cc's, liquid cooled 75 horsepower. So I am 5'10" and a half, 200 pounds. It's more than enough power for me. I wanted a bike that could do everything very well. I wanted to be able to ride the highways and go long distances. I ride to New Hampshire. I ride to Virginia. But I also ride locally, and that's probably about 75% of my riding is local. So I wanted something that I could whip through town on. 434 pounds dry. That means no gas in it. In town, I can whip it around, but it's not so light that the wind's going to blow me over when I get on the highway. So the dashboard is an important part. I wanted something that definitely had a nice clear gear indicator, showed my RPMs very easily, and how much gas do I have. Seat height is very important. You need to be able to put both feet on the ground comfortably, and then you want to be sitting in a position where your knees aren't up in the handlebars. Now on the naked bike, you lean forward just a little bit so you have a strong feeling of control, but you're not hunched over so far that it's going to hurt your back. So yeah, today is winds of 10, 13 miles per hour, which is a good test for this bike. Below 10 miles an hour is pretty comfortable, but if you're above like 15 to 20 miles an hour, a bike of this size is going to really feel the wind, and you're going to be fighting it the whole time you're riding. One of the advantages of a lighter bike is when you're going into curves and turns, especially for a new rider, the bike's very intuitive. I just really look at the car in front of me and the bike does what it's supposed to do without me thinking about it too much. Riding a naked style bike, you're going to have some wind pressure on your chest, which I kind of enjoy. A good helmet will mitigate that quite a bit. If you're riding on the highway, though, for long distances, you might want to consider getting a windshield or something like that. I will do that if I'm riding, say, like 3, 4, 5 hours, something like that. But for local riding, I just enjoy the wind. Wind therapy, they call it. Hills and power. So Pennsylvania has a lot of hills, so it's something I deal with almost on a daily basis. At 75 horsepower, I have no issues going uphill, even in fifth gear, which is what I'm in here. I don't have to downshift. I don't even have to actually hit the throttle at all. It just takes the hill very well. In a couple seconds, this bus is going to pass me. Now, motorcycles, when a bus or a truck passes you going the other way, you're going to feel a gust of wind, but 434 pounds is more than enough to keep me stable. I didn't have to lean into it or anything like that. In fact, I barely noticed it. One of the things I like about this bike, it's got a cool feature called low power assist. So when you're starting out in first gear, it gives you a little bit of power so you don't stall, which if you're in heavy traffic and you have cars behind you is kind of a big concern, especially for new riders. So I'm stopped here and I'm going uphill at a pretty good grade. There's a car stopped in front of us and it gives it a little bit of power just to make sure I don't stall. The bike has more than enough horsepower to get me up this hill. I don't have to wind it out or anything. In fact, I'm a pretty tame rider. You'll rarely see me going more than half throttle on any kind of situation. Leaves are kind of important to watch out for when you're riding in the fall, because they can be very slippery. It's kind of like when people mow their lawn and the grass shoots out on the road. Just keep your bike upright and go straight to the best of your ability. Highway passing. Now, personally, I tend to ride in fifth gear a lot. Unless I'm going to be on a highway for more than like a few minutes, I will just leave it in fifth gear. I always feel like I have more control that way, but I don't have to downshift to pass anybody, and I don't have to like crank on the throttle to get past anybody. You're going to see here, I'm just going to cruise right past all these cars when we get into two lanes, and it's like nothing for this bike. Now, when you get into breaks in the trees, you'll notice that the wind will pick up suddenly because there's really nothing blocking it, but this bike stays pretty stable. Now, Pennsylvania, if you're paying attention to the concrete, Pennsylvania's got some of the worst roads around. They're not as bad as Ohio, but other than that, they're probably the worst around. There's potholes and stuff everywhere. And I do stay pretty stable. Any bike in this class, under $10,000, they save money by giving you a less than optimal suspension, meaning your front and back shocks. Now, that's something you can look at upgrading down the road. I've had this for 6 years and I haven't done it yet. It's fine for me. I do plan on doing it this winter, though, because I think it will improve the ride tremendously. Older bikes have carburetors, and a lot of them have what they call a reserve tank. So there's a little switch that you flip. You get about 2 gallons of gas or something like that, or a gallon of gas, something. But this fuel injected bikes don't have that. What we do have on the dashboard is the gauge will flash on this model. And I looked down and it was flashing, so I knew I had to pull over and get some gas pretty quick. Gas mileage is a big factor for bikes. You know, it costs $12 to fill up this tank. A 3-gallon tank will last me all week. Now, if you get a bigger bike like a Harley, they don't get quite as good a gas mileage, and they have bigger tanks, so it costs a little more. Driving in heavy traffic, you want to have good mirrors. So this model comes with some pretty wide mirrors, so I can easily see what's in the lanes next to me. People will jump over, so it's important to be able to adjust your lane position in case a car pulls over on you. It's just one of the realities of riding a motorcycle. Now, lane splitting is illegal in Pennsylvania. In some states it is illegal. So I'm not going to do that on this video, but you will notice when we pan to the next scene, oh, look at that, the car's all gone. So you don't really have to wait in line for a bunch of cars on a busy day. So now we're getting in town, and this is when it's really great to have a lighter bike because you can flip around. You have to watch out for things like cars are parked on the side of the road and people will open the door, and you want to be well on the other side of the lane without going into the oncoming traffic when they do that. One of the coolest things about riding a motorcycle is you can smell everything. You smell all the trees and the plants. You can smell the car in front of you. You can smell what people are cooking for dinner in the houses around you because the air is forced up under your helmet. Now, on the other side of this red light, you'll see we're going to jump into some much heavier traffic. Stuff's merging in from the right. So again, you want to have good mirrors and you want to have good maneuverability on your bike. You know, ride something you can handle. If you have a super heavy bike, it's harder to shift around in the lanes. Going under a couple of bridges, Bethlehem steel is probably made the steel for these bridges. That's one of the things about Pennsylvania. We have a lot of cool scenery and cool bridges to go under. Now we're coming up on Main Street, which is where we get off of this highway, and it's a pretty abrupt exit. Now, if I was on a heavier bike, I would have had to slow down way in advance. I just saw an exit, and I wasn't really thinking, that it was going to be so abrupt. I thought it would kind of, curve around for a while, and it certainly didn't. So I had to pretty much slam on the brakes and slow down, and it was no problem, though. But like I said, with a heavier bike, you can't make those quick last-minute decisions like that. You have to think everything through. So now we're coming into the downtown area of Bethlehem, and it's a really beautiful town, really cool scenery. And one of the things when you get to where you're going is you need to be able to park your bike. And motorcycles kind of park wherever, there's never any parking in downtown areas. So you can usually squeeze in between a couple cars or something like that. But if you have, a Harley Davidson is like 600-700 pounds usually, pulling that in and out of parking spaces is not as easy as, a 400-pound Suzuki or a Yamaha or something like that. So that is one of the reasons I do like these lighter bikes. I don't see anything here, so we're going to go up the side street, up past the Irish bar, the Irish and English bar. I guess they get along when they're drinking. Who knows? But yeah, I came up and I saw on the left. I thought it was a driveway up to the coffee shop, so I pulled in here, and it's actually turns out it wasn't a driveway. I guess it's like a little park or something. But I saw the motorcycle down there, and I was like, "What the heck?" So I just rode down here, and that's one of the advantages to having a motorcycle is you can just park wherever. Nobody really cares. All right, folks, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it and you got something out of it. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out. If you don't, just keep scrolling. All right, peace out, folks.